recently an alleged list of your alleged former conquests was leaked or published.
I wanna be bad.
How accurate was the list?
You know what? I'm gonna get serious for a second. I have to do this quickly because I know that we don't have much time.
A few of the names on the list were like Ashton Kutcher, Orlando Bloom, Zac Efron, James Franco, Justin Timberlake.
They got Joaquin Phoenix, Jamie Dornan, Heath Ledger, Aaron Head, Colin Farrell, Adam Levine. Lindsay Lohan is a freak.
I don't even gotta know your name. You'll be thanking me that you came.
I'm sure it's not making his fiance Mila Kunis very happy right now.
I will swear on my mother's life that I never had sex with her.
One night stand, baby. Don't even try to be bad. Boy, it's getting hot. Take me to the top. I can fly a rocket. About to go boom.
She even broke into my room one time. I opened my eyes and there's Lindsay in my room at 3 a.m.
I wanna be bad. I wanna be bad.
You can't even believe you're in that position. You're with a legend. Yeah, it's kind of crazy.
It's like you're with the person, but you're also with the icon.
Humiliation, a common currency in Hollywood to control celebrities and their careers. How a person lives under threat of public shame is what separates everyday people from stars. And today's subject thrives under pressure. An 11-year-old starlet named Lindsay Lohan debuted in 1998 as the most classic blockbuster actress the Disney Corporation had ever discovered, plunging headfirst into 2000s Hollywood alongside Paris Hilton and Britney Spears. Shortly after 2009, everyone would quietly clean up their acts. Paris would start taking music more seriously. Britney would start touring under her conservatorship. But where was Lindsay Lohan? Crashing out in courtrooms in front of the entire world. It truly seemed like Lindsay was the Y2K icon who was left behind. Thus, in 2013, she would do something about it. Lindsay would open her personal life up to the world, starring alongside Oprah in a series focused on her personal struggles. On set, Lindsay would confide some of her deepest and most private secrets in therapists and doctors. But the most sensitive item of information would leak in the biggest way possible. Today, I'm taking a look at a very revealing little black book belonging to Lindsay Lohan. One that would detail every single one of her conquests and encounters. Because this story is about Lindsay, you already know there are multiple explanations for what occurred. So buckle up, grab a snack, and be sure to comment which one you believe. Now, while we're on the subject of privacy, I love to work anywhere with a gorgeous view. But with that usually comes a public unsecured Wi-Fi connection. This is why I love using Surfshark. Their VPN keeps me safe by hiding my IP address and encrypting sensitive data like logins, browsing history, emails, payment details, and even my device hardware info. Aside from giving that extra online security and privacy, in a time when our whole lives are essentially online, Surfshark also lets me watch shows from all over the world. With just the touch of a button, I can switch my location to London and catch up on Love Island UK. You can change your location to get better deals when online shopping. You can quite literally travel the world virtually with their 4,500 plus servers in 100 different countries. Surfshark is more than just a VPN. Surfshark Antivirus secures everything from your webcam to your files. Surfshark Alert will notify you the moment any of your personal data gets leaked online. And there's even more, so be sure to go to surfshark.com/deep and use our code DEEP at checkout to get 4 extra months of Surfshark VPN. Now let's get ready to dive into the wild world of Lindsay Lohan's Little Black Book. To get started, let me set the scene. It was January 30th, 2013 at the Beverly Hills Hotel. Lindsay and her friends were turning up and celebrating that the world didn't end on 12/12/12. And this was a super common occurrence for Lindsay. Anytime she wanted to let loose or let her hair down and just relax, she would invite all her girls over to a hotel room. Sources that were there that fateful night told In Touch Weekly that Lindsay and her friends were all giggling and talking about other people in the industry. And this is where I really relate to Lindsay. I think she was probably just venting about all her coworkers, and then some tool had to go ruin it by running and telling In Touch Weekly. But that isn't the entire story. According to this source, Lindsay went through each and every one of her conquests throughout the industry, inking their name down individually on a categories card. This card would somehow not be fully discarded or torn to shreds by Lindsay, because in the true spirit of Mean Girls, the list would leak across the entire internet. This would set the entire industry on fire. Men who'd been in relationships or even marriages were being exposed, and a young, fresh on probation Lindsay Lohan would be at the center of it all. Obviously, everything in this video is complete hearsay and should never be taken as fact, but some of these men actually confirmed their encounters with Lindsay, and a lot of them outright deny everything. It's important to note that the list leaked in two main waves. The first iteration was a blurry, illegible cropped photo with multiple names blurred and obscured. Many believe this was done after In Touch reached out to individuals on the list. Hollywood is very small, and everyone knows everyone. So the second this list was being asked about, agents, lawyers, and PR experts alike immediately got to work to protect their clients' best interest, whether this was threatening In Touch into blurring their names or concocting a rock-solid alibi. However, this censored version of the list didn't last long, and eventually the entire thing would leak to the world. So let's first start with actor and Hollywood mainstay Joaquin Phoenix. Lindsay and Joaquin first had a rumored fling together way back in 2006. Neither of the actors confirmed either way. They both ran in Hollywood circles, most of Joaquin's friends living downtown near the hotspots that Lindsay would frequent. This is why it was no surprise when reports surfaced that Lindsay and Joaquin were spotted at Voyeur nightclub together. There were no photos, but these reports dated back several years before the list ever went public, truly showing just how far back some of these relationships went. Like the next name on the list, Stavros Niarchos III. Now, if you've been watching our channel for a few years, that name sent shivers down your spine. Stavros famously dumped Mary-Kate Olsen to date Paris Hilton. And then the next year, in 2006, when Stavros and Paris split up, Lindsay was infamously photographed making out with Stavros on his yacht in Monaco. Many believe this is what prompted Paris's infamous fire crotch video with Brandon Davis.
We think she's a fire crotch. Or we know.
Are we going to the parking lot or are we going?
I mean, we don't think that. We know it's obvious. Red pubic hair comes from inside her. She's like an orange tree.
Around the same time, Lindsay began messing with the next name on the list, Reese Witherspoon's ex, Ryan Philippe. Ryan Philippe, best known for his hit Cruel Intentions, was in Lindsay's orbit in 2007, when she was shooting her movie, Chapter 27, with Ryan's good friend Jared Leto. Maybe it was fate, maybe it was the fact that they had the exact same PR team, but Lindsay and Ryan would run into each other again and again. In 2007, multiple outlets began running with the story that Lindsay and Ryan were hooking up. The most infamous of these stories being an Us Weekly story saying Lindsay and Philippe were getting close at Club Voyeur, and that Lindsay loved the drama of it, all because Ryan was freshly out of an entire marriage. They were spotted together at Brent Bolthouse's party, and sources inside claimed they disappeared together into a private area. Furthermore, when Ryan went on the all-revealing Howard Stern show, Howard asked him bluntly if Lindsay wanted him, and he replied with yes. Lindsay was only 20 years old, and Ryan Philippe was 32. The next name on the list, Wilmer Valderrama, should ring a bell if you've seen our video on him. Basically, Lindsay went on this entire press tour trying to convince everyone she was too young to even legally date him, and then he publicly claimed her directly after her 18th birthday. It was all very bizarre, but Wilmer's best friend from his biggest show ever being on the list, that was shocking too. Ashton Kutcher and Lindsay Lohan met when she was a guest on That 70s Show in 2004, but this was during her relationship with Wilmer. Many Hollywood insiders have inferred that this fling took place before Ashton got serious with Demi Moore in 2005, but Lindsay was still dating Wilmer, and I think that's some image cleanup for Ashton. Ashton and Lindsay were spotted at events together as late as 2008, like when they were photographed talking at the Dolce & Gabbana party. Lindsay was also close with Brittany Murphy while she was co-starring with Ashton in Just Married. Needless to say, there were countless chances for them to get it in if they wanted to. But the next story was a lot more shocking. When Justin Timberlake's name was revealed on the list, everyone instantly believed it. Lindsay had been documented as a super fan of NSYNC her entire career. And besides the small mutual Britney Spears connection, there was only one event tying the two together. In 2009, after being spotted at Avenue Lounge in New York at the same night as Justin Timberlake, Lindsay ignited a firestorm online by tweeting and very quickly deleting, quote, "Where is JB's cheater?" Many immediately jumped to the conclusion that Lindsay was inserting herself into Justin's relationship with Jessica Biel. So when the list leaked, they took it as confirmation of Lindsay and Justin's rendezvous. Neither star ever clarified either way, and that just just seemed even more damning. The same story kind of goes for Colin Farrell. When his name was leaked on the list, while it was shocking for the public to finally have confirmation, it wasn't completely out of left field for the people paying attention to entertainment news. In early 2004, right after Lindsay wrapped for Mean Girls, she was seen frequenting the same nightclubs as Colin. For example, they were spotted leaving Avalon in the wee hours of the night while Lindsay was a bit disheveled.
Let's pick a nice young lady out of the audience. You, miss. Would you help us out for a minute?
Me?
Yeah, come on. What's your name, sweetheart?
Lindsay Lohan.
Lindsay Lohan, that's a lovely name. Now, gentlemen, look, watch. Lindsay.
I'll be in your dressing room.
See you boys, whiskey and cigarettes.
This obviously sent tabloids into a frenzy. Colin and Lindsay ran in the same circles with Danny Masterson, Wilmer Valderrama, Tara Reid, and Paris Hilton. When Colin's name surfaced on the list, his representative responded saying Colin doesn't respond to any gossip that's older than 9 years old, shutting the rumor down but not denying it entirely. The next name on the list has a special place in my heart. The story of Heath Ledger is a tragic one. If you've seen my video about the twisted world of Mary-Kate Olsen, then you know the tragic end of how Mary-Kate and Heath partied until Heath took his final breath in 2008. Well, according to Lindsay's mother, Dina Lohan, Lindsay was also secretly dating Heath back in the day, claiming the two had a serious connection when he passed. But she claims their relationship needed to stay private because of Heath's baby mother, Michelle Williams. When Lindsay was asked about this back in 2008, she explained that Heath was a really good friend. This much was at least true. They ran in very similar bohemian New York City party circles back in 2007, and many remember how deeply shaken Lindsay was by the entire ordeal back then. She even tweeted on the anniversary of his death, "R.I.P. HL, forever in mine and Maddie's heart, XXL." Many believed Lindsay was referencing his daughter Matilda, and alluding to there being more lore with Heath and Lindsay than previously let on. And obviously Heath can't comment on the validity of his name on the list, but Dina would make sure to shout their involvement from the rooftops. Anyway, the next name on the list is Danny Soprani. He's a rugby player known for dating glamorous models and actresses. He reportedly met Lindsay while she was on her final hurrah before jail in 2010. He was photographed arriving at Lindsay's house at 4 a.m. Danny made no public statement at the time, but confirmed the relationship in his 2023 autobiography, gushing over Lindsay and calling her the sweetest girl ever. After her legal troubles and subsequent house arrest, Lindsay moved to New York in 2011 to get away from the hustle and bustle of Los Angeles. This is where she met Maggio Soprani. Now, he's not related to the last guy at all. He actually comes from a line of restaurateurs known for their elite nightclubs. Lindsay frequented these clubs and allegedly hooked up with Maggio during a late night party at Soprani Club NYC. These were high-profile names being linked to Lindsay, who at the time many viewed as a tabloid train wreck. Her PR was all over the place, and her public image was that of a bad girl losing her shit. So whenever these huge directors, actors, athletes were all linked to Lindsay, it would blow the situation up that much more. For instance, Academy Award winner Benicio Del Toro, their mutual friends Eva Mendes and Brett Ratner were allegedly responsible for connecting the two together. They both would attend the same industry parties together. Lindsay was 19 at the time and Benicio was 38. And this was nothing, as Benicio had been caught making out with a 19-year-old Scarlett Johansson just 2 years before this. If you saw my new video on Secret Society about Lindsay Lohan's childhood, then you know that Scarlett and Lindsay were two of the front runners for the Parent Trap. Benicio's making moves on the two possible people who were going to be in the Parent Trap. Anyway, in 2009, Lindsay would meet the next name on the list at a New York hockey game for the Rangers, but it would end with a drink in his face. Lindsay was invited there by Sean Avery, but left with his teammate Aaron Varos. Aaron Varos initially went on a date or two with Lindsay, and he seemed really interested in her. Fast forward to a few months later, when Lindsay was at New York City hotspot 10K, and she saw him with another girl. This is when Lindsay allegedly sent her drink flying in his face. Now, this isn't the only alleged assault Lindsay would do to protect her man, but we'll get into that later in the video. Evan Peters, Jamie Dornan, and Zac Efron all unfortunately fall under the same Joaquin Phoenix umbrella. Famous actors from American Horror Story, 50 Shades of Grey, and High School Musical respectively. Jamie Dornan was reportedly close to a 19-year-old Lindsay after his 2006 high-profile breakup with Keira Knightley. Lindsay and Jamie were seen getting cozy together and were spotted holding hands in public. Zac Efron was a shocking addition to the list. Lindsay publicly presented presented him with an MTV Movie Award for his movie Hairspray in 2008, and they were at multiple professional events together. When asked about Lindsay at his Charlie St. Cloud movie premiere, Zach referred to her as, quote, the best. And if you watched our video on Zanessa, then you know that relationship seemed more open than closed. But Lindsay and Zach specifically were never photographed getting cozy.
For the first time in history, I, an African-American male, will open the envelope and announce the winner.
P. Diddy, as a woman with years of experience, I feel I'm the most qualified candidate to open the envelope. Okay, Diddy. When we come back, why don't we just open the envelope together? We can do it together. Zac Efron, Hairspray.
Anyway, Evan Peters was a complete head-scratcher. The two had never even been photographed together. And Emma Roberts, his girlfriend at the time, notably ran in younger circles than Lindsay. None of these stars outright denied their inclusion in Lindsay's list, but they were all included. Orlando Bloom was also included in Lindsay's list, but never outright spoke on the matter. Their only confirmed link was that both of their houses were victims of the bling ring robberies in 2009. If you saw my video about Justin Bieber and Selena Gomez over on Secret Society, Lindsay and Orlando comes as no shock at all. Selena Gomez and Orlando had multiple brief love affairs, while he was supposedly still with Katy Perry, so any relationships he has seem to be completely open. It's also important to note that Lindsay and Orlando have never been spotted together, but she did reveal on Watch What Happens Live shortly after the list leaked that she showed Orlando around London very briefly. The next name on the list is similar to Orlando Bloom. Josh Mond was an independent film producer that Lindsay put on her list. The Sundance film world is often impacted by relationships, hence why young actresses often get their start in exploitation films at film festivals. Think like Chloe Sevigny. Lindsay Lohan was also a huge defender of Harvey Weinstein amidst the Me Too movement, releasing a video of herself on Instagram urging people to, quote, please stop doing this.
After dozens of women made allegations against Harvey Weinstein, one of those celebrities, though, was not Lindsay Lohan. In fact, she felt the need to come out and defend him.
Hi, this is Lindsay Lohan. Hi, I'm in Dubai. I'm home. And I feel very bad for Harvey Weinstein right now. I don't think it's right what's going on. I think Georgina needs to take a stand and be there for her husband. And he's never harmed me or done anything wrong to me. We've done several movies together. And so I think everyone needs to stop. I think it's wrong. So stand up.
Notably, Lindsay starred in Harvey's film Bobby when she was only 19 years old. Now, Lindsay has since walked this sentiment back, but as for Josh Mond, the independent director, neither Lindsay nor Josh publicly commented. Another name on the list who wasn't commenting was Ryan Rotman, who was in multiple relationships during the entire duration of the list's coverage. He dated Brittany Snow from 2008 to 2010, and even Nickelodeon royalty Victoria Justice from 2011 to 2013. And I'm sorry, but the idea of Lindsay unknowingly stealing Victoria's man? Like, has she not suffered enough? Riley Giles was a name on the list barely anyone recognized, but those that did weren't shocked. This was one of the few non-celebrity individuals on the list, but he wasn't completely unknown. Lindsay met him at the Cirque Lodge rehab facility in 2007, and the pair publicly dated for a few months after. They were even arrested together in 2007. After they broke up, Riley would pull in Isaac Cohen and sell Lindsay Lohan out to tabloids everywhere, detailing everything from Lindsay's assertiveness in the bedroom to even outing her as bisexual, a notion Lindsay wasn't secret about, but also one that she didn't outright label. Another somewhat unrecognized name was Brian at GPH. This was an abbreviation for an unnamed man named Brian she met at the Gramercy Park Hotel. Paul P.C. Valmorabita was another name on the list she was photographed with in 2011 from the art scene in New York.
Mary-Kate Olsen has been spotted with her new boyfriend, Paul Valmorabita.
You may recognize that name from Lindsay Lohan's infamous leaked list.
P.D. Wright was one of the more steamy names on Lindsay's list. The two had been photographed naked in bed together, kissing and rolling around for Muse magazine. Reports surfaced that after the cameras turned off, they just kept the party going, and he went on to etch his name in that list. Nico Tortellini was a shocking name for people to see on the list. Long before he was tattooing unsuspecting characters with Snooki on MTV, he was living it up alongside Lindsay. It's important to note that he's one of the only names on the list that Lindsay still acknowledges the existence of, suggesting that he was more of a friend that turned into friends with benefits. Jamie Burke was another model who made the list, and she was linked to him right as her career was exploding. However, he would have been 24 at the time, and Lindsay would have been barely 16. And that's sadly the story for a lot of the men on this list. They either don't comment or flat out deny involvement with Lindsay because of their insane age gaps. For instance, Garrett Hedlund, James Franco, and Adam Levine. After the list was published, all three of these men outright denied ever having relationships with Lindsay. Garrett was a brooding actor who starred alongside Lindsay and Georgia Rule in 2007. When Lindsay's list leaked, Garrett's representative stated unequivocally that the story was completely not true, emphasizing that Garrett and Lindsay, quote, worked on a film together. That's it, saying it was annoying that In Touch published the name despite their denial. As for James Franco, he was one of the only names on the list to get out ahead of the media storm before it even struck. Since In Touch were the ones reaching out to everyone on the list, when James' team got word that the list was going to go public, they circumvented the story by going on Howard Stern and claiming that Lindsay tried to sleep with him and even kissed him, but she was having personal problems at the time and he didn't want to do that. James even joked around in his 2013 film, This Is the End, that he had slept with Lindsay.
I gotta admit something. I fucked Lindsay Lohan. She was fucked up. She was high. It's at the Chateau Marmont. She kept banging on my door. She kept calling me Jake Gyllenhaal. That's fucked up. Yeah, I said, call me the Prince of Persia.
This seemed like a perfect PR strategy to get out ahead of Lindsay's list. And when the list finally dropped, James doubled down, saying, quote, Lindsay has told lies about me with her list. He even wrote a fictional story about Lindsay and his night together at the chateau for Vice magazine, where Lindsay kept trying to make advances of him and he kept trying to steer her away, assuring Vice readers that nothing happened beyond the two just talking.
3 of the poems, by the way, are about Lindsay Lohan? Is that true?
I think she's in 2 of them.
What's going on with that? What's the obsession there? Talk to me about
the
this.
obsession, but
Why
yeah, I mean, she was. There's one poem that's only about her, and then there's one poem that's about that famous hotel in Los Angeles called Chateau Marmont, and she lived there for 2 years. When I lived there for a year, and we were there was an overlap, so that's kind of when I knew her the most. But we're talking like 7-8 years ago.
Lindsay Lohan steps out of rehab for the weekend as the man who may have led to her decision to get treatment comes to Access Hollywood.
I didn't know if you had reached out to her knowing that she was in rehab or if you guys are friends or...
Yeah, we're friends. I hope she gets better.
Reports surfaced last week that an unrequited infatuation James Franco, posing here for Jane Magazine's Sundance photo portfolio, was one reason Lohan ended up in rehab. But people deny this claim, however.
Any chance that you'll maybe go visit her or help her out that way, or is it something that's... No?
No.
Because the last time you were in, I asked you if you banged Lindsay Lohan, and you said absolutely not.
I did not, and then the list came out.
It came out that she banged you.
It's a lie. And
why would she lie about that? You said I didn't bang her, but meanwhile, Lindsay's now letting it out that you did bang her, or you're completely embarrassed that you banged her.
I will swear on anything you ask that I have never had sex with Lindsay Lohan. All right, we maybe kissed.
So you're upset that you made out with her because it was lame?
I'm not upset. It's just not a thing.
Why only make out with her? Like, why not bang her?
Okay, if you really want to get into it, yeah. This is like meaningless in my life. But when we made out, it was even longer. It wasn't even the time. It was so long ago. It wasn't even the time when we were both at the Chateau Marmont. I was like a nice guy. Like I just was like, okay, the kiss is enough.
Right.
And it was also sort of like, what the hell am I doing? This is
because you were.
She was young, and I think I was doing like Spider-Man 2.
Right.
And I was here in New York. I was sort of like in awe, like, wow, this is like a big celebrity. Like, okay, we'll kiss. Whoa, wow.
It's true.
It's sort of like that weird thing maybe where you're in private, but it's like the whole world is somehow in there with you.
Do one for the team or something.
Yeah.
Like, you can't even believe you're in that position that someone like that would be involved with you.
it for your
but
friends.
It's also, but I think it's also like you're there with a person. There's like a screen between you because all of everything else you know about that person through their movies or music or whatever it is also kind of in the room with you. And so it's like you're with the person, but you're also with the icon.
You're with the legend.
I don't know what to say other than we were at this hotel during, I think a very dark period of her history. I think she liked, it seemed pretty damn clear that she liked me. Like, I was in school at the time, strangely, like living at the Chateau Marmont and going and getting my bachelor's degree at UCLA. And I'd come home late to the hotel, and she'd come find me. Or she had 2 rooms. I knew which room she was in, and I'd see, you know, through the window, like, oh, there's another party over at Lindsay's. I was in the bungalow area, so she'd come out to the pool area and find me. She broke into my room one time because she was so at home there, I guess they just gave her the key. And so 3 in the morning, I always sleep on the couch. So I was on the couch, and I opened my eyes, and there's Lindsay in my room at 3 a.m. It's like, okay, what do I do now? Like,
what do you do when somebody's in your room at 3 in the morning? And
I tell about it in the poem. It sounds so nerdy, but I read her a story because I was in school, so it was sort of like, all right, well, maybe I'll get a little homework done, so I'll read her a story. I guess you could say we were friends, although, you know, I hesitate to say that because every time I brought her back into my life or tried to be nice, it's just like turned really lame. And
stupid or dangerous?
Well, I had this inclination to write about her earlier than the book. And Terry Richardson, we had this idea, oh, let's do this book centered on the Chateau Marmont Hotel. Because I'd done like 3 photo shoots with him there. I knew that he had done some photo shoots with Lindsay there, and I thought, oh, it'll be cool if you do the images and I'll do the text. And he said, okay, well, let's do one more photo shoot with you and Lindsay together here. He did it with her, but then all of a sudden, I mean, the only people that knew that we were doing this photo shoot were me, Terry, and Lindsay, and like maybe my assistant. And all of a sudden this thing comes out, James and Lindsay are doing a sex book. Like, who leaked that? You know what I mean?
There are people you can trust, and there are people you can't. Yeah. And so that was the last contact you had with her.
I mean, if we really want to get into Lindsay Lohan, the last time I think I saw her, she was in town, and she said, I haven't seen you in years. I want to come see you. And I said, well, I'm sorry, I'm really busy. I'm rehearsing this thing at night. And she said, well, can I come to rehearsal? I said, okay, fine. And as soon as she got in there, I realized, wow, this is a big mistake. She just started being so rude, but she just started making comments about the poor undergrad actors audibly.
Critiquing them.
I stood up to give notes to one of the actors, and Lindsay just said something in front of everybody. Who does she think she is? Or she's terrible, or something like that. And I just turned to her and I said, Lindsay, you can either shut up or you can leave, because we don't need your comments. I didn't even want her there. I invited her to be nice. And she just got really mad and stormed off, and we locked the door because I knew it was going to turn into a scene. She was going to come back. I had this period where I'd go to clubs and she was always there. And so it wasn't like, oh, I got to escape Lindsay, although she would have these periods where I don't know if she was using something or whatever, but she would just turn horrible. It was like the bad Lindsay, and you just had to get away.
As for Adam Levine, Lindsay and Adam were never linked publicly together or photographed. So when his name leaked, it was a massive bombshell and one of the main headlines. Adam would also take to Howard Stern and explain he had no relationship with Lindsay.
Now, a soon-to-be married Adam is denying he ever hooked up with a troubled actress, telling Howard Stern, that's not true. I did not have sex with Lindsay Lohan.
I don't know if you've noticed a pattern emerging, but we've had to use over 3 Howard Stern clips in this video. It's almost like he exists as just a mouthpiece against Lindsay. And it makes sense because his entire brand benefits off of what Lindsay is often stereotyped as. A dumb girl living it up at Bimbo Summit and getting drunk. But so many men would go on Howard Stern and attempt to spin a story about how they would never ever even think about being with Lindsay. It reminds me so much of the current online climate with Bonnie Blue. So many guys are quick to comment on her posts saying she's disgusting and they would never touch her with a 10-foot pole and she's gonna get all these diseases. But her queue has thousands of men in line. Anyway, it's important to also note that James Franco and Adam Levine were both in committed relationships at the time, and both of their names were initially blurred in the first release of the list. Whether this was done by In Touch, by fear of Adam and James's lawyers and PR people, is completely uncertain. Terry Richardson flat out denied ever having relationships with Lindsay, despite doing several very revealing photo shoots with her, and even attending the MTV Movie Awards as her date in 2007. He would tweet and address the rumor directly, saying Lindsay claimed we spent a romantic night making love at the chateau, but it never happened. It's totally untrue. This was one of the most shocking denials, as Terry is responsible for some of the most subversive subversive media in Hollywood. From the Wrecking Ball music video to Lady Gaga's infamous Lost Do What You Want video, where R. Kelly sedates Lady Gaga and manipulates her unconscious body. All that to say, Terry was the last person people were expecting to deny having slept with Lindsay. They thought he would just keep it as hearsay. Guy Berryman, the bassist from Coldplay, was another musician who found his name on Lindsay's list. While Lindsay very publicly followed him around all Lollapalooza weekend in 2011, they were never photographed together. But still, Guy never commented on his inclusion with the list. The most confirmed name on the list is Max George from the electro-pop boy band The Wanted. Now, I don't know if that name rings a bell for any of you, but I was The Wanted's #1 stan next to Lindsay. They had Glad You Came, Chasing the Sun, Warzone. They were sort of like if the Paradiso Girls were boys. Or better yet, if One Direction was produced by LMFAO and Calvin Harris. Well, in 2012, this was Lindsay's hardcore vibe. Her and Max met at a Jingle Ball concert in 2012, where his band was performing. She would be frequently spotted at after parties for the band and would reportedly follow The Wanted on tour. Tabloids even labeling Lindsay as a groupie. The relationship was reportedly not so much symbiotic, but more so Lindsay wanting to hang out with the band backstage, specifically Max. I think the band was just happy to have a legacy celebrity as massive as Lindsay Lohan interested in them. I mean, they were brand new to the scene, and this was by far one of Lindsay's messiest years. In November of 2012, it was reported that Lindsay got in an altercation at Avenue in New York City. When a girl started hitting on Max, she reportedly punched her in the face. This was covered by the news extensively, and Max would be one of the few to publicly own his relationship to Lindsay. Lindsay and Max's big fling would have been around the time Lindsay wrote the list at the Beverly Hills Hotel, and the brawl over Max would have been fresh on her mind. This was a big red flag for where Lindsay was headed.
Recently, an alleged list of your alleged former conquests was leaked or published, okay? A few of the names on the list were like Ashton Kutcher, Orlando Bloom, Zac Efron, James Franco, Justin Timberlake. Will you confirm having tristed?
I cannot confirm or deny.
How accurate was the list?
You know what? I'm gonna get serious for a second. I have to do this quickly because I know that we don't have much time. That was actually my 5th step in AA at Betty Ford. And someone, when I was moving during the OWN show, must have taken a photo of it. And so that's a really personal thing.
Wow.
And it's really unfortunate.
Needless to say, this was the biggest scandal of Lindsay Lohan's career, and one of the bigger scandals to ever hit Hollywood. Whether Lindsay or her team intentionally leaked the list is still up in the air, especially given the high-profile names. It would make sense for someone to want to be romantically tied to any of those men, and this was a huge marketing strategy back in the early 2010s. After stars like Kim Kardashian had her sex tape leaked, there would be several copycat incidents, like Adrienne Bailon from the Cheetah Girls, especially given that Lindsay confirmed the existence of the list and clarified she was the one who wrote it. That Andy Cohen clip makes the entire list so much different. It seemed like she was publicly owning up to something that maybe never even needed to be discussed. I mean, look at everyone else on the list, no one said a thing, but Lindsay mentioned it countless times. Regardless of how the list actually got out initially, it put a spotlight on not just how the media portrays women's sexuality in such a negative light, but how men are presented entirely differently. Lindsay was being publicly slut-shamed for sleeping with 37 people. It was genuinely shocking to people that she had slept with that many. However, notable names were missing from the list, like Harry Morton, Samantha Ronson, Aaron Carter, and countless others. So the fact that people were treating this as a comprehensive list was comical. She'd slept with even more, but people weren't even ready for that conversation. People would go in on Lindsay Lohan.
I love music. Music's a huge part of my life, just in general. Even when I'm on set, like I'll listen to songs that kind of like help the character of the scene, gets me into it. But that I was really nervous that day, I remember.
Really? Well, you came off really good.
That was a very emotional song. It was like about my dad. Oh no, I just broken up with someone.
Who?
Well.
Do you remember who?
No. Apparently,
I have a
there's
list
so many
people.
of them, guys.
I know. I hear there's a list going around
it was
of all
Wilmer,
the.
actually.
Yeah. What? There's what?
It was Wilmer Valderrama.
It was Wilmer?
Yeah.
And did it break your heart? Was that?
I was really upset, yeah. And that song I'd written right like the day after. And we were still living together. I sang in his house.
Wow.
Just tortured him, just recording the song so loud in his house.
She got up to number 36 before she stopped. That's a lot of people.
Yes, it is.
Lindsay Lohan is a freak.
And that's just one industry?
Yes.
We ain't even got to the people that change and rotate tires.
Not only was her body count leaked, but they gave each person a name, and it was all famous celebrities that everyone knew. It was like a real-life Mean Girls attack. It was a public nightmare for most people. And I think honestly, it's just a testament to how far Lindsay has made it today in her career. A story like this getting out is career ruining. It defines your name in Hollywood. But Lindsay didn't let it stop her. Any ordinary person would be paralyzed by the PTSD of all your family and friends knowing about your sexual conquests, when, how, and who you slept with. But Lindsay was built different. She would go on to quietly rehabilitate her life over the next decade. And I'll be getting into that and even more in my series over on Secret Society. So be sure to subscribe here and there and turn on bell notifications so you never miss a video. I've already premiered one Lindsay video over there and there are 2 more to come. So if you enjoy this kind of video, drop a like and I will see you all in the next one. Bye.